sheet build. Today we are going to start on the motor mounts and the transmission mount and get this LM7 mounted to this little bit of a frame. You come over here. What we're going to do is, if you can get down in here, we're going to leave the factory motor mounts, but we've kind of hacked them all apart just to get to the actual bracket. And all we're going to do is take a piece of metal, go from here down to the frame, weld it into place. The transmission mount, this is the factory transmission mount to the S10. This one is not going to work. And so we're going to make a whole custom transmission mount that'll go from basically these two bolts out to the frame, bolt to the frame for it can fall out, or if we ever got to take this thing out. So that's what we're going to start on today. We'll be getting this motor mounted. The very first thing we got to do is me and Drew, we're going to get the engine squared up into the frame exactly where we want it, where we know where to mount. So what you've seen us doing was we were picking up some suspension points and some frame points back there to make sure that the engine is centered into the frame exactly where we want it. So what we done was we went from the back side of this bolt to this A-frame mount, and then we just crossed it from that, and we've done the same on the back, except we just measured off the side of the frame up to the yoke of the transmission to make sure that the engine was squared up into the frame, and now we're ready to start making motor mounts. Cutting this 1/4 inch, 2.5 inch block of metal. It's just a 2.5 tube, and I cut it around the frame rail, around all this, for we can get ready to prep all this, prep this thing, and weld this, and this is going to be the motor mount. As you can see, I mean, nothing on it straight, nothing. So it's all just random cuts, and takes a little bit of time to get it, to fit, but with a grinder and a couple cut-off wheels and stuff, you can pretty much make whatever you want. What Drew's doing right now is setting up the motor mount where he can start getting it tacked into place, getting it welded, and let's see how it all works out. Alright guys, on the driver's side we had a little bit of issues. We had to make it a little bit different, the frame mount, because we're going to have steering going through there and a few other things. So you'll see from one side to the other, they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty close. But we'll get you zoomed in when we get them fully bolted in there, and where you can kind of see how it. Alright guys, so we're going to get, while he's welding up on these motor mounts, I'm going to start on the transmission mount. It's going to be pretty simple. It's just going to be some round bar. It's going to get a couple flat plates on each end and a flat plate to mount the transmission itself. So we're going to go back on time lapse and go see all this get done. Alright, so these here are the few parts that we have made for the transmission mount. We got two little side plates made. They're a little bit longer than where they're probably going to need to be, but we'll figure out that. All they're going to do is flip up on here, flip up on here, set up like that. We got a little plate made here, a couple little gaskets, and then it's all just going to get welded together just like that. And then we'll just have to punch a couple holes in it, and transmission mount will be made. We got the little transmission mount made. We put it down some pretty killer welds. Some of them look okay, some will need a little bit of grinding. But we're going to see how this thing fits. Turn this thing around. Get that jack. Oh, you know what? I'm going to get backwards. put it up underneath it for kind of stay. It's in there nice and tight though. Is that where it goes? Move it up a little bit. I think for the most part, that's how it's going to be. All right. Well, I think we got the motor mounts and the transmission done. If you look down here, you can see that the transmission is set in on the transmission mount. Right now, we just have a couple tacks welded or holding it just long enough until we get a couple bolts put in it. I'm still thinking I might put an X brace in this, so I'm not 100% sure if it's exactly going to stay like that. But you can walk over here and you can see our motor mounts. I mean, they're big and beefy. They're not going anywhere. This 2.5 inch square tubing, 1/4 inch wall that hooked to the or welded to the factory motor mounts that we modified and cut out all the rubber and all that. So this engine is rigid, mounted to this frame. You're going to feel every vibration, and that's exactly what I want. But all in all, I mean, it didn't hit the ground, so it has to be pretty well welded into place. But okay, so if you guys want to see more on this build, we'll be posting weekly videos about this Jeep, and like, subscribe, and we'll see you next weekend.